Hey there everyone, it's Haz here, and if you're watching this video, hopefully that means you have successfully completed Sea of Stars for the first time, or at least you're nearing it, as we're going to be discussing how to unlock the true ending or the alternative ending to the game, which honestly I think everyone should do. But either way, a spoiler warning at the start, if you're not at the end, some of these could be new to you. The good news right from the start is that if you haven't finished the game yet, there's nothing to worry about, as the very first requirement to unlock the true ending is to beat the game normally first, after which you will be given a chance to create a save file right before the final boss fight that unlocks the path towards the real ending and completion of most post-game events in Sea of Stars. A small cutscene will show you the ancient stones and moorlands activate, which are going to be your guiding stones towards the true ending, and if you visit them before completion, you can even interact with these stone slabs, as they will show you a vision of what needs to be done, so in case you don't like guides, the game is pretty generous at showing you the right way. The rest of the requirements are all fairly straightforward. They are about unlocking the best weapon and equipment for each of your party members, accompanied by little side stories, so I'm going to show you how to start all of them, and if there's any puzzle, we're going to go through all of that too. But unfortunately, the final requirement of the true ending is possibly one of the worst parts of the game, and it is to collect all 60 rainbow conches in the game, which we'll talk about in the very end. All of these side quests can be initiated by resting at any given place and talk to each of your friends. Serai will mention an ancient evil of their people, Valera and Zale will suggest visiting the rest of the Solstice Shrines, Resh'an will point towards a floating island, and Beast will point out they would like to prove themselves in a newly built arena in Brisk. And the final quest you can initiate by talking with Hortense on your ship, who will ask you to free Duke Aventry from his suffering, and if you walk down to the ship's inn, you can also talk to Yolande, who will point straight to the island you have to go to. Keep in mind, to complete these quests you will require flying, so if you aren't at the very end of the game, you can start them. First, Serai will ask you to help her track down the queen that was, an old trader of her people, and will give you a camp story you can listen to from Tix, which tells the story of 3 exploration party going into the Cerulean Expanse in search for the queen. And since we've been there before, you know how annoying that place can be, and so of course the puzzle of this quest also revolves around the maze itself. A little bit counterintuitively for me, the solution to the puzzle to find out the right path seemed to be combining the correct paths of the 3 groups instead of finding which one of them found her, so it means you have to write down only the days where each of the groups felt right about their own expedition, which will lead you to the solution of northeast, southeast, northeast again, and east. You can actually find this by yourself if you're determined enough. I accidentally got halfway by myself until I found this quest much later. Once you track this path in the Cerulean Expanse, you will end up at a new location where you can pick up one of the coolest relics, the Artful Gambit, and a rainbow conch shell you really shouldn't miss out on. And finally, you can fight the queen that was for a cool boss fight, and also the ultimate weapon for Serai. Resh'an's ultimate weapon is tied to the ancient Dakari village story if you've been listening to the lore of the game, and so our journey is about unlocking the ancient beast that the Dakari has sealed underwater. If you talked with Resh'an in the camp, he pointed towards a floating island in the northwest where you can activate 4 light pillars in the ocean you've probably wondered about before. Well, it is finally time to use them and do their puzzles. There are 3 shrines with Dakari fragment pieces you have to collect through solving the shrine puzzles, after which you can fly to the final underwater shrine east of the volcano island. Be prepared, as there will be a tough boss fight in the shrine as you enter, after which you will get Resh'an's ultimate weapon and also a rainbow conch. For Beast, it is very simple, as they will only ask you to let them prove themselves in a newly built arena of Brisk, that if you visit at the place of the former Dweller crater, you can enter 4 battle trials, 3 normal ones, and a bonus one that takes quite a considerable amount of time to beat. It took me around 50 minutes of straight fighting without losing at all, and the fight in the arenas are possibly the hardest in the game in my opinion, so make sure you're prepared. But once you have beaten all the bosses and enemies in the arena, you will be rewarded with the best armor for Beast, as you cannot change their weapon, and once again this requirement will be completed too. Next, let's free the soul of Duke Aventry, and if you have talked with Hortense and Yolande, you know that there is a secret island northeast of Wraith Island called the Secret Passage of Ramaya, and that is our destination. This dungeon will immediately present its puzzle to us, and if you remember exploring the flooded graveyards from back then on Wraith Island, you should remember these glowing runestones from the locked chest room, and the puzzle itself is to simply match the runes that can be found back there, so either go back and check it for yourself, or you can use the runes I'm showing in this video. After some short tracking, we'll be back on Wraith Island to open the chest for Ramaya's journal, which we can give to Duke Aventry, who will reward us with a yellow flame in return to hand over to the ferryman. The yellow flames will open a whole new little zone that gives pretty decent experience, so good for farming, and it also has a hidden rainbow conch you don't want to miss with a secret passage to the south in the marsh. After all of this, eventually you will unlock a secret passage to Ramaya, where you will have to fight her again, where she's considerably tougher, but eventually after beating her you will be rewarded with Aventry's locket that you have to take back to the bottom left of the graveyard and not the top left like where we started, to give us the conclusion to his story and also a key to his coffin, which can be found left of him on the passage in the marsh, rewarding us with one of the Eclipse armors for best defense on either Zale or Valere, and the campfire story of Duke Aventry. Finally, it's only the Solstice Shrines that are left from the character stories, which can be found scattered around the world, 2 on their own islands in the homeworld, 1 on its own island in Serai's world, and the last 2 can be found on Wraith Island and the starting Evermist Island. Each of them have their own puzzles to solve that aren't too difficult and will reward you with various upgrades for Zale and Valere, and once you have completed all 5, the Sanctuary door on Evermist Island close to the end of the mountain trail behind the waterfall will finally be open. This portal will lead you back to a pretty challenging boss fight with Elder Mist from the beginning that only Zale and Valere can participate in, so be careful. I recommend defeating his sword first to disable his automatic counterattacks, but after the battle you have passed the test and you will be rewarded with the best weapons for both Valere and Zale, and this step is also completed. Now the very final step to unlocking the true ending is unfortunately to collect all 60 rainbow conches in the game, and while the good news is that there are no conches you cannot go back to and collect, the bad news is that I think this is the worst part of the game since there is no built-in radar in the game to help you find these, and some of them are extremely easy to miss too, so while I have found 55 by myself playing very thoroughly, I still missed 5 that I had to look up and some of them are quite ridiculous. So overall, at this point, I recommend looking up a guide with pictures of all the locations and collect all the ones you're missing, but unfortunately I haven't found an easy way to do it, and this is the part where I think most people will sadly give up since it's just really not a fun requirement. But once you have all the 60 rainbow conches, go to the Kari village to the girl and receive all the rewards, with the final one being the rainbow star, which will immediately fly off and unlock the final barrier towards the true ending. At this point, just go back to the moorlands to the rock slabs and you're ready to experience the true ending sequence of Sea of Stars. So that is everything to know about how to unlock the true ending in the game, along with all the best equipment too for your characters, since they are one and the same activity basically. And while I personally didn't like the true ending that much, unlocking it was really fun with all the endgame bosses and puzzles, except for the rainbow conches, and overall I think it delivered that classic JRPG experience where post-game is just really fun. But thank you for watching everyone, hope this video will help you, and if you're interested in more Sea of Stars and other gaming content, make sure to like and subscribe. Since I have finally 100% finished the game, I will soon release my full review of Sea of Stars 2, so look forward to that, but for now, that is a wrap, take care, and I'll see you all the next time.